Hello, and welcome to the answer, hopefully, to the question, is a PV solar system currently worth it in the UK at this particular time? Date of recording is mid-June in 2023. My system, for reference, is installed in the northwest of England, or Merseyside particularly. I have a 3.1 kilowatt hour system, which is south-southeast facing. The data I'll be using will be from March of 22 to February of 23 to give an entire year's worth of data. Reason for the slightly odd date range is that it was installed in February of 2022. And realistically, what I'm looking at is the answer to, is a system worth it? Based on the cost of installation and how quickly can you expect to make your money back? Short answer I'll tell you now is yes, but later on in the video I'll be telling you why, including the answer to a question which I do not believe anyone has ever answered before, or ever stated any information on regarding payback times. For further context, my house is a fairly typical 50s build, 3-bed semi. A 3.1 kilowatt hour system is as large as I could go. South-southeast facing is fairly good. Daytime usage I can capitalise on even if I don't have battery storage. More to follow on that because there is an upgrade coming later on. And let's just get to it. Time for the ident. So here's the first slide of data, and this is including the SEG or Smart Export Guarantee data, and also the savings that I've counted in comparison to a previous year without any solar. And looking at the savings column for the solar on its own, £20 here or there, 27, 35, up to nearly £40 in a month, but as low as £7.31 in September. Not exactly looking fantastic. But then again, you have to bear in mind that up until the 31st of May this year, that was at a rate of 20 pence per kilowatt hour. Of course, if I wasn't on the fixed rate, I would have been paying at least 34p a kilowatt hour as a national average, and instead of £239.20 saved, it would have been £406.64 saved on a £4,500 install, though without the VAT I'd still expect a system of my size to be closer to 4,000 or maybe less. Find out what the figures are for yourself, but currently with inflation how it is, it's hard to tell. Also included here is the total number of Smart Export Guarantee or SEG units, and that covers February 22 to 23, and it's 2,665 units, but a rather poor payback of 5.5 pence per kilowatt hour. Now then, £146.58 is the total there. It's money back, but when you compare the total for that and the savings made over the year at 20 pence per kilowatt hour and 5.5 pence on the export guarantee, £385.78. So, if your system did cost you £3,857.80, it would be exactly 10 years based on that calculation to get your money back, in which case you might be looking at it and thinking, is it worthwhile? But bear in mind, that was the 20p rate. We are currently, generally speaking, as a national average, 34 pence per kilowatt hour. Looking at the export guarantee, which I can now get as a best case scenario, as of recording, that appears to be 15 pence per kilowatt hour with Octopus. I'm just waiting on a DNO letter to do the switch there. Now instead of £146.58, it's almost 3 times as high at nearly £400, £399.75. Combine that and the savings as they would have been at 34 pence per kilowatt hour, and I was looking at an annual saving of £806.39. So obviously the payback time is considerably better. The elephant in the room that nobody, as far as I'm aware so far, has ever addressed in any kind of video about solar installations, and that's the fact that over time energy prices go up. If we look at the total here, and I'm using the UK highlighted, 5.3, 7.1, 4.6%, and the only year there where it goes down by 2.2%, and then it's up by fractions, up more. The average is basically 4.6% rise over a 10-year period. So bear in mind that for every almost 5 years, you're paying an extra quarter on your energy prices alone. That's not taking into account the fact that they stiffed people with the standing charge doubling. So that's how it looks just percentage wise. But what does that look like in terms of actual cash? So looking at the prices, we see that it's gone from 12.99 pence in 2011 to 20.28 pence in 2021. But of course it's significantly worse now. Cost of living crisis and various international incidents have caused prices to be an average in the UK of 34 pence per kilowatt hour, with some variations. So that 12.99 pence has come close to trebling in 12 years. Pretty sobering thought. And to illustrate further, here's how £100 in 2010 to 2011 would have gradually changed to be more expensive over time, just as inflation works. This is how it is. So the 5.3% added in 2011 to 2012 to the energy bills meant the £100 became £105.30. And then, of course, 7.1% isn't £7.10, because you're not adding 7.1% of the 100, you're doing 7.1% of the £105.30. So that goes up and it compounds and compounds. So 2011 to 2012, £105.30, £155.60. It's risen by near enough 50% over that period of time. If your wages have risen by that 50% over time, you're doing amazingly well, especially in this country. I find it very difficult to believe that we have become richer by that amount, even though the prices have risen that much. So therefore, based on these calculations, of course I do. So in conclusion, if you can get solar, I'd suggest you do. But of course you'd have to do your own calculations, and if you're not at home during the day, I'd recommend getting hold of your smart meter half-hourly data to see if export tariffs might make it worthwhile, along with, of course, scheduling any appliances you can for daytime use when the generation's going on. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video or found it useful, and if you did, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing, and I hope you'll join me for future videos. Coming soon, the big energy company that couldn't, and why I switched from Scottish Power to Octopus. I'll put a referral link up, so if you do fancy doing the switch, you can get £50 credit to your account when you use it. Until next time.